Hello everyone.
Hello.
Back again for the
Always
28th at 28th time.
surprisingly 28
Is it
episodes.
wow? Yeah.
There's like 28th episode.
Yes.
Not a particularly special number, just seeing it kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Yep.
So
Howdy, folks.
we have a guest this week.
Yeah. We have Ernie in the chat today.
Oh my god.
Oh, do we? Hopefully that persists.
the first time live, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. No ceiling. But we also have a guest in voice chat with us this week. Who I called the wrong name immediately.
What's going on, man?
We have Callan. Not Talon.
We're putting a. I don't know why we're putting an accent on it. It's just,
I don't know.
but what's going on?
We're just, hosting a podcast about, I don't know at this point anymore, so.
I'm the greatest fucking bartender ever.
And Pico being the best fucking bartender ever. So,
Oh, he is a good bartender.
he's lining them up pretty well.
And we've got Tapper on the screen today. As our guest is owner and operator of Blind Ambition Brewing in Chicago. Do you do it all, head dog?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm trying right now. It's kind of just me running the show. Currently for Blind Ambition Brewery. I'd like to call it BAB for short. And just just super excited to kind of spread the word, talk to you guys today. Any questions that you may have for me. What's really unique about BAB is the artwork that we're doing for it, and what we're trying to continue to bring to the market. So but yeah, what do you got for me?
Well, what I guess what's your history of like video games and stuff? Because
Sure.
that is partially why you're here, is that Pico has done some artwork for you that is all video game references.
Yeah. So I'm definitely really big into Nintendo. I'm not like hardcore, but I just love everything about it. With the designs, the character development, all types of games. I literally have a Zelda tattoo of the N64 version. It's very growing up with my cousin. We lived and breathed Ocarina of Time, and we would play it nonstop and just never sleep. So I have Zelda's Lullaby with the on the old school Nintendo 64 controllers. You know how it had like the triangles.
Like
that
song notes.
Yeah, the sheet
exactly.
music.
Yeah, I have that on my bicep. I think I have this really unconditional love for Nintendo. And just with Pico, actually, me and him would play a lot of Super Smash Brothers growing up.
Holy
and
shit, yeah.
he would just be Roy and I was Falco, and we would just put on the XX and just fucking just go at it nonstop, no weapons, 5 lives, and just talk shit. So it was just it was very meaningful times for me, and I've just loved everything about Nintendo. I think I don't know if you guys remember the game Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that one really got me addicted, I would say. So I think before that, growing up, I don't know if you guys, was there a system called like Turbo Graphics?
Yes.
Turbo Graphics, that one I still have some memories on. Where I first had that and then got a Super Nintendo. And then just fell in love with it ever since. And I just think Nintendo, literally, I lived in New York for a little bit. the Nintendo store in downtown New York
Yeah.
is just fucking amazing and so beautiful that I don't know. They know what they're doing. So I've never really gotten into the other systems, Xbox, PlayStation. I've just been always more into just the games that I don't really have to think and have a lot of nostalgia. And that's kind of what, when I think more about it, actually, it's kind of a coincidence how it happened. Even talking about it right now, I'm actually having some new thoughts, but just having that nostalgia is so important to me. And I think subconsciously, working with Pico, it actually got ingrained into something that I'm doing now that I love, which is Blind Ambition. And I think it's really cool to think about how, I've been able to incorporate something, a part of me, growing up into something that I'm doing now. And what better way to incorporate, video games into beer? I think it's really sexy and a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's sexy.
Was the genesis of your brewing company, was it made with the idea in mind of having like sort of a video game themed aesthetic to it, or did that come to you later on as something you were wanting to try to incorporate into what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, great question. That's a really good question. So, I think I've had a lot of trials in my life where I've had to do a lot of shit on my own, and I've always had to figure out. I've always had people who would support me, and then things would fail, and just everything that I always did, I had to do a lot of it independently. And so I think that's how the biggest one of the biggest hurdles was when I first knew I wanted to establish a brewery, was coming up with the name. And I looked at all these breweries and figured out how they did it. Most of the time, you're taking like a verb and a noun, and putting it together, and it just sounds cool, right? Yeah. And so, but
Razor Killer Brewery.
Exactly.
The combo is noun and noun.
Yeah.
Cut out the verb. It's good to know Chicago has its own thing going on.
Yeah. And so, something about me is that I'm very, I don't give up. I'm very competitive. My friends would say sometimes extremely competitive. And I accept failure, and I actually love failing because I always grow from that. And that's kind of came about when I was just saying that I've always had to do a lot of shit independently. And so, it kind of hit me that I'm also somebody who takes risks. I don't give a shit. We only live once, right? And so, fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. I'll always make it work. I always have. So, that's when I thought about, I'm going into this blind, right? And with being somebody who's very a go-getter, very tenacious and competitive, and it's like when someone tells me I can't do it, it just like fucking gets me going that I'm going to prove them wrong. And so that's how Blind Ambition came about, with the fact that it's kind of me just going into it blind and just going after my dreams. No matter what it takes. I tried starting Blind Ambition when I lived in New York and failed 2 or 3 times. And then I moved back to Chicago. I didn't give a shit, right? Like, I was just like, what did I learn from that failure? And now let's take it and just take one step forward. But anyways, going back to your question, essentially, though, with having the name Blind Ambition, it was really tough to come up with the logo. Like, what the hell are we going to do with the logo? And so I came up with all these drawings, and like, I would think I have it. I was like, this is it. And then next day I was like, what the fuck was I on? And I would throw that away. And that was happening a lot. So I actually eventually reached out to Pico because I knew that he did pixelated art. And I wasn't even interested in kind of the pixelated art at the time. I just knew he was an artist. And so I kind of wanted to pick his brain and see what he thought about something. So it's actually really funny. So when I first talked to him about like Blind Ambition, he was kind of like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what's up? And I was like, I want this like blue collar ass, grungy ass shit. And he was like, yeah, no problem. and he sends me over a picture of like a skull with like a blindfold on, and I was like, no,
Basically, one label's like logo.
I was like, I might have overthought that one.
A little bit.
I was like, yeah, industrial, beer, skulls, motorcycles. Like, hell yeah, I want to make this badass.
So yeah, I mean the picture looked really good though. Okay. So then I was kind of like, I said to him like, well, what if we try to do something a little bit more industrial and modern? And then I also said to him, you know, because of I know that he can do pixelated art. I said, you know, and I do know that he's really big into gaming. I specifically said to him, you know, or if you want to do anything like Nintendo related, kind of, you know, would just love to pick your brain and see what you thought. So then he sent me over a pixelated kind of, it was initials for Bab. It kind of looked like a flower, and it was in pixelated art. I don't know, Nico, or what that was with like regards to like it just said Bab, and you know, when I looked at it, I was kind of like, what if we try to make this a hop? And so, you know, he was it.
I'm looking at it now and seeing it.
I can see it now. It's cool. I didn't notice the letters in it before. I don't know if you have the stream up, if you can see it, but we have it displayed on the screen for watchers.
Oh, cool. I'm happy you guys have it displayed and can see it. So Pico essentially, literally, was able to, we got on the phone and we were kind of shooting ideas back and forth and was able to form it as a pixelated hop. And I was like, that is so badass. And the coolest thing that he actually did that I didn't catch was he has the Bab initials in it.
Right.
And, you know, we learn all about that. It's like marketing 101, right? When you look at FedEx, there's the arrow in it. Amazon has the smile. So I was like, well, hell yeah, you know? So, you know, if you look at it, it says B, but it's backwards, and then the A, and then the B. But at the same time, you're seeing a pixelated hop. So
it almost gives like a black metal logo vibes with like
right?
A little bit, yeah.
Symmetrical like black and white shape.
Yeah, no, yeah, I totally agree. And so then from there, it was kind of like, whoa, like I really like this. It looks badass. I want to make this the logo. But then it's, you know, we talked and it's how do we keep consistency? I don't want like weird shit where you have a pixelated hop and next thing you know you just have a complete different random picture of a skull with blindfold. Like that's a beer, right?
You're right.
And so
we've seen that one how many times picking up beer now.
Right. And so we wanted to keep like a consistent pattern, and I already was making a beer. It was a hazy pale ale, and one of my favorite lines in Super Smash Brothers is, you guys remember like in the 64 version when you hit the up pad, they taunt you?
A little taunt, yeah.
Yeah, and so one of my favorite was Captain Falcon saying, "Show me your moves."
Show me your moves.
That's
yeah.
the other one. I had that picture up right before, and I'll bring that one
And,
up.
I absolutely love that one. That was our first picture, and you know we wanted to do it funky disco, and what I absolutely love is like, I want you guys to go to my brewery, and when you're looking at a menu, you're reading a beer that says, "Show me your moves." So like I told you guys, I'm super competitive, so that's a little bit of me calling you out, saying like,
Right.
"Come try me, motherfucker." And so, because, you know, if I would look at it, I'd be like, "Show me your moves." I'm definitely going to try this beer and see if this is good or not, right? And so then
that's a good test to make sure you'd be able to sell it to yourself if you're the one looking at it.
Exactly.
By yourself.
This dude fucking calling me out? Drink this shit right now.
Exactly. So
do you
from
have
there-
a?
What's up?
So is there a storefront for you all, or is it just a brewery? Like is there?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have the brewery yet. That's kind of where I'm in the process of working on. So
Okay.
you know, yeah, I started Bab November, no, technically December of 2019. So just called 2021, and like I told you guys in the past, like I failed a lot of times doing Bab, and it's always. Like I said, I learned a lot, but it's always hard to like get yourself in the groove again. To be like, all right, let's do it again. Let's see where
round
we get.
3, round 4, let's
Yeah.
go.
Exactly. But when COVID happened and we were all at home, I really took advantage of that time where we had so much more free time. I mean, at least I did. I didn't have to commute to the office, so there and back, I'm saving 2 hours, and I had some more free time and started looking into, talking to some people. I had a partner at the time, and kind of we had some ideas, and so we opened up an LLC, and then it just started like taking off with like just taking one little step at a time. And so where I'm at now essentially is before I could focus on, getting the capital to start a brewery, there's a lot, I'm sure you guys know, behind it. I had to make sure I had everything put in place. So creating an LLC, having an operational agreement, having a product. The hardest part is I have a product, but I can't sell it. I do give it out for free, but having a product, gaining traction. How do you gain traction when people can't try your product?
Yeah.
So trying to strategize, like, how do I do this? And one of my things is doing that is through the art. I've showed a lot of people the art. And the first thing, and this happened by accident, and I learned, trying to be an entrepreneur, I've been learning a lot of new things. And one thing that I really learned that I didn't even realize it was doing is that everyone I showed it to, they instantly thought of their childhood because of the pixelated art, right? We think of, for me, I think of Zelda. When I see something pixelated, that's the first thing I think of.
Right.
And it brings a lot of people to their childhood. So now I got you. Now, like, not in a negative way, but like, I got you where you're like, this is cool. I love this. Now I want to try the beer.
Yeah,
Because I was able to
thread to hold on to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that the art has been so important. And, again, talking for myself, like I was saying to you guys earlier, like I have so many good memories playing games with my friends, with my family, that those were good times. That's when life was just easy, growing up as a child and not being an adult in the real world. Those were some good fucking times. And so, to be able to bring that back out, I think is something that is super important. And so it's allowed the art has allowed, Bab to grow because it just gives me such confidence. So, I now have 6 beers. In my opinion, they taste really good. I have 6 beers. We have 3 logos created. So we have Show Me Your Moves, which is Captain Falcon, Getting Jiggy With It, which is Banjo and Kazooie. And that was a Belgian wit beer. So we had to do Getting Jiggy With It.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I think I got it now.
Just having, like, I don't know if you guys have the pictures, but
I do.
Yeah, we
looking
have
at
the
Banjo, like,
one right now.
Banjo's just like, Pico did such a good job. He's just jacked as fuck, ready to bring it on, and it's just like we had some fun ideas with that one. And then we have Study the Blade with Zero from Mega Man, and yeah, we got some more coming out that I'm super excited about. We got 3 more that will be coming out, and that will be the 6 beers that I have. So now I have a product, right? I have the artwork. I have the business plan, the pitch deck. I'm currently in the process of bringing a brewmaster on, who, if I could get him on and spreading the beer. But now the next process is going to be the real estate, getting the real estate. But so just to clarify, I'm working on a nano brewery. So I don't brew it a shitload like a microbrewery. So I'm brewing around, you know, a
What
barrel.
about a
of beer.
macro brewery?
A macro? That would be a. I mean, that's just a big ass brewery.
Yeah.
Right?
You are
And
a
with a cease and
brewery.
desist,
big
you
and go
are
home,
going
baby.
macro.
And so yeah, essentially, I wouldn't be producing a ton, so I don't need a lot of space. So, you know, it's just right. So right now, I'm focusing on working on that capital, and then getting the licensing I need, the real estate that I need, so that I could then properly start selling my product. But you know, it takes time. It takes time. A lot of other brewery owners that I've spoken to, it's taken them years, and that I love that, right? And in the meantime, what I'm doing is working on artwork, collaborating with Pico, figuring out, you know, what can we do this? How can we make this even fucking better? Keep fine tuning my beers. I have an Instagram, you know, trying to learn. I've never done that. I'm not a big social media guy.
There's so many layers to that shit now. Like,
Dude,
there's just so many approaches you can take to like marketing yourself and your product. Like nearly endless.
Right?
You know?
Right? Like, it's crazy that, you know, in the corporate world, there's now jobs for social media, and they get paid a shitload of money, where you're like, what the hell? So, you know, it's just taking those next steps. But I think, you know, what I'm really happy about, I do think, you know, the artwork is something that's really difficult to find, especially in the beginning, and have that consistency. And, you know, having the pixelated art is just a lot of fun. You know, trying to incorporate some Nintendo themes, but not exactly Nintendo, has been fun. You know,
Chinese
it's fun.
knockoffs, as I like to call them.
What do you call them?
Bootlegs.
Oh, gotcha.
I think in my opinion, part of the charm is that, like, you know, I've seen a lot of other breweries. Like, one that immediately comes to mind is like 450 North. You do like slushy beers, and there's lots of I've seen lots of like breweries that do like pint glasses with, like, you know, Mario Kart characters on it.
Yeah.
But usually it's lots of like, you know, like Mario. It's like pretty much what, when I think of like video game beer, like imagery I've seen, it's mostly like just Mario in some form or another. So I think it's pretty charming to see, like, you know, something outside of that. Like, not that there's anything wrong with it in particular, but it's just, you know, been done by so many people now to see, like, you know, different franchises being, you know, and their imagery used in these ways. I think it's a lot more interesting, you know, and eye-catching than just another like beer with like Mario slapped on it somehow, or like bootleg Mario.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because we try to incorporate our images is like, so like, I have a beer that's a blonde ale, right? And because, so how I try to incorporate Nintendo images is I don't just go strictly off that image. So this is how, like, I thought this is how my process works. So it's a blonde ale. Blonde. What was the first thing that came to my mind? Princess Peach came to my mind, and then it's like, okay,
Fat
well,
booties.
yeah, that's what you wanted to do.
Oh,
I was like,
God.
Peach, fat butt.
But so I read a lot about. It's so fun. You know, what's another fun thing that I've recently stumbled upon is like, these characters have such intricate backstories that you're like, holy shit, like, this is crazy. So I read all about Princess Peach and everything, and then it really hit me what I'm gonna call the beer is the Crown, right? And like, so, but it's not like based off Princess Diana, it's based off Princess Peach. You know, but instead of just doing something like Peach, like you said, you see Mario. There's this brewery in Virginia, actually, that literally doesn't change the image. Like, if Nintendo would see them, they could get in a lot of trouble. Like, I was like, this is Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I don't know what else to say.
It's just Sonic. You know?
This is a Sonic beer. You will drink for Sonic.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? I'm at least trying to change some shit up. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I have descriptions if you guys go to blindambitionbrewery.com. That's my website where you can see right now the 3 images, and there's some descriptions about those 3 beers that I have. So Study the Blade is just a red amber ale. We have Getting Jiggy with It, which is a Belgian wit, and then Show Me Your Moves, which is a hazy pale ale. But on deck, I have like I was saying, a blonde ale coming out. I have a stout, and I have a really, really good brown amber ale. So, really, really looking forward to those, getting those images up. So, yeah, that's kind of.
Has Pico convinced you to let him do a Fire Emblem character on one of your beers yet?
Oh my god, not yet.
Not yet, but I think that'd be pretty cool.
Get Marth or Roy on him.
Yeah, which one of you made Roy? Was it Vigo who made Roy back in the day?
Yeah. Yeah, he would have to do Roy for sure.
You gotta make 2 of them so they can battle each other.
I played Ike for a while too on the Wii.
Yeah, that's actually a cool idea to actually incorporate 2, like Marth and Roy,
Marth
2 different
versus Roy,
beers.
yeah.
Yeah. See, this is how we come up with designs and names of beer. It's just shooting the shit and just having fun.
Yeah. And then make it good. And then
I'm sure it adds a fun layer to the creation of the beer. Like, just you gotta throw your own lore and story on top of your concept of whatever the beer means to you, and you just gotta have that special like touch, even if it's you're making a blonde or whatever, and you have a blonde, but like I don't know, if you have that context in it, I think it makes it kind of more appealing in that way.
Sure, yeah, and I love that, and so the dream is to one day have that brick and mortar and have that pixelated hop in the front of the building, and have some fun.
The dream.
That's
For
the
sure.
dream.
I'd like my own office.
Yeah.
Art corner.
So I
Art
imagine...
director Pico.
So when you were saying about like starting up like end of 2019, is that what you said?
Yeah, end of December 2019.
Yeah. So I just kept thinking about like small breweries I've seen come up in my city, and like the way they would get started was basically going to like public events and stuff, and just like getting a temporary license to sell beer there, and that was where all their groundwork came up. And then when they got popular enough, they started up a storefront or start selling it in stores and stuff like that. But you never really had that chance, what with the pandemic and everything.
No. I'm not gonna. So the at least in Chicago, the brewing world is pretty small, and everyone knows each other. But I would, in the beginning, I reached out to a lot of brewery owners before I went after this, was to just pick their brains and kind of get their thoughts. And one of them told me, "It's the pandemic. I can't believe you're doing this. Basically, don't do this." And it, like I told you guys in the beginning, when someone tells me no, fuck you, bring it on.
I'm gonna do the opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So you said you only really have nostalgia for like Nintendo games, but with your attitude about like don't tell no, I feel like Dark Souls games would be your kind of speed, because
I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Definitely open to it right now.
they are punishing and unforgiving, and they're perfect for a stubborn person who will not give up.
Yeah, I can't. Like, it's just like, because I'm not going to let this beat me. And then I can't go to sleep,
Oh yeah.
I mean, the brewery does sound like a From Software game, Blind Ambition.
Right?
True.
And, what I would love to do is, like, if I could get a brick and mortar, I want a little section where fucking people could drink and play some games. And people could pick what game. It's kind of like, having a shitload of games, and if somebody comes up, pick a game, pick a system, and then they could be at the brewery just gaming.
Yeah,
You dig like barcade games?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'd have like maybe a projector set up or maybe an arcade game. I don't know. But I think it'd be a lot of fun. Like, what would be some games where you could include like a lot of people, like Mario Party, right? Like, but are there games where you could have more than 4 players?
not
Mario
Tapper.
Kart.
The Jackbox games that you can play with your phones.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how you play Jackboxes on your phone?
I think you can. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a brewery in Nashville I went to that had a little room upstairs for that you could hook up your phone to it, or hook up your whatever to it and play like Jackbox games. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and and not to mention like my brewery is gonna be kid friendly. I want families to come, bring your kids, have some video games, good to go.
Baby hammered. No, we don't condone babies drinking.
No, we do not.
Number 1 podcast for providing alcohol to minors.
as we love to do. Real quick, we run a sponsor, and I'm gonna go ahead and run our sponsor this week, Apple Jakes.
This episode has been brought to you by Apple Jakes.
Tired of eating the same old bowl of horny nut Cheerios? Well, now you can start your mornings off with the tasty and sweet cinnamony flavors of Apple Jakes. For a limited time, grab a box of Apple Jakes cereal and get a free gallon of Ozeki Fields and cow milk. With over 420 vitamins and minerals and a delectable part of this complete nutritious breakfast. Apple Jakes cereal, the true breakfast of champions.
Ozeki milk will be shipped via La Poste and may take several months to receive. We are not responsible for the potential of receiving spoiled milk. Also, note that 4G or Wi-Fi is not included.
Thank you to our sponsors, Apple Jakes, and thanks to Shutterstock for your videos.
And thanks to McConkey's.
Yes, McConkey, wherever you might be. But do we have any people in our waiting room that might have some questions for Callan here?
Joey's been in there for a while. Let me pull him in.
Pull him in. Hey, Joey.
Hi.
Hey there.
How's it going?
You know, we're talking with our friend Callan. We're talking all kinds of breweries and stuff, and wondering if you had any questions for him, or I guess just the whole subject of drinking and beer in general.
Yeah, I've got a question, brewery related question, I'm guessing. So I live in Southern Virginia, and there was a brewery like 10 minutes from where I live that it was pre-pandemic. It had to have been the summer or so, maybe the winterish time before the pandemic, but they put out that Lucky Charms beer. Did you ever hear about that at all? Because I saw it on the news everywhere, like huge news places were reporting on this thing, and I was like, the place down the street? Really? That big a deal? And I went down there to go try to get one, and good lordy, that line was a good half a mile long.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to eventually try it?
I did try it, yeah. So they sold out. I was literally within eye shot of the counter, and they sold out of 6-packs or 4-packs, and they had it on tap. So I still tried it there, and it was just good marshmallow. And I'm not crazy big on beers. I'm more of a cider or a mead guy because I like sweet things. But that was a scrumptious little beer.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I never had the opportunity to try that. I did hear about that, which is really cool. And, you know, that made me think of, there is a brewery out in Illinois, what's it called, like Fort Fusion or something like that. I may be a little bit off the name, but They have a gummy bear beer.
Ooh.
And
Oh.
I am not like, I can't even tell you guys, you feel like you're drinking gummy bears. Like to the T. And so I'm just picturing that Lucky Charm beer is kind of like that. And I think what I get, like, what's really cool about those beers is you're not going to, like, you're going to really savor them and have one. You know, it's not something that you're going to be drinking, like, constantly, but those are just such good brewmasters and brewers to be able to extract that concept and put it into a beer.
Yeah.
It really blows my fucking mind about, you know, I understand getting those flavors and how to do that, but to be spot on, I just, like, I'm like, what the fuck did you put in this to make it taste like gummy bears or Lucky Charms? And
the trial and error involved in that.
Sure. And a lot of recognition. It's pretty cool that you live that close to that brewery, and a lot of recognition to them because, you know, it's such a fun concept, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah. It was definitely nuts because I have a friend who used to work at one of my local game stores who was working at that brewery when that drop happened. He was like, "Yeah, I saw how crazy they
really?
were slaving away on this thing. It was nuts."
Oh. That's really cool, man. That's I wish you would have gotten that 6-pack.
Dude, when I was in line with one of my buddies, and I think he saw a guy walking off with like 4-packs. And my guy, he's like, I'm going to try to buy some off that guy. So my friend hops out of line for like 20 minutes and comes back. He's like, I bought half of the stuff that he got.
Oh
he like sold it to me for like, it was like $50 a 4-pack.
Just flipped immediately.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I miss. I used to, when I lived in New York, those lines were fun, man. You just bring beer and everyone's hanging out, and you try different beers.
Oh, that's really fun.
And you just talk with people outside while you're waiting.
Beer drops like a tailgate.
Yeah, beer releases are pretty fun
It's
events.
Fun. Yeah, they're cool.
Something like that. That does sound very interesting and fun for all these different flavors that they're doing these days.
Oh yeah, it's getting wild, which is really cool. It's really cool to see.
I am curious also, I know you mentioned you don't have a license to sell yet, I was thinking I was understanding you saying, but have you shown off your beers at like any like festivals or samplings or things like that, or is it just like a friends and family thing so far?
Yeah, so I brought my beer to work, which was a lot of fun. To show it off to all, you know, employees who wanted to try it. I actually, because again, my competitive spirit, they weren't allowed to try it unless they filled out my survey, so that, you know, I could build on it, right, and continue to make it better. So I've had the opportunity to give it to them, and I try to give it to as many people as I can, you know, when the opportunity arises. I like to go to a lot of different brewery stores or some breweries, and I just bring the beer in, you know, to have them try it. That's another, I'm glad you brought that up. Something that is just really attracted me to this culture is how everyone looks out for each other. It's such a small, I get it, there's so many breweries, but at the same time, it's so big, it's small, where everyone knows each other, and nobody is like an asshole to each other. They just want to help each other out. And it's like, hey, what can we do? You want to do a collab together? Like, hey, I'm having this problem. Like, what did you do, or what do you suggest? And nobody's out there to. It's not like, technically, yes, it's competitive. You want to drive as much sales as you can, but at the same time, that's why I love microbreweries, because it's not, you know, like Pico's making a joke about macro. We're saying the big guys. It's not like that. It's actually complete opposite. And it's getting to a point, though, where even these big guys are seeing that. So they're trying to change their culture up and what they can do. And it's just such a fun culture. Culture for me is the number one thing in my life. And that's what I need. And that's something that I fell in love with, which is why I decided to, you know, try it. When I originally was going to these awesome breweries along the East Coast, I was like, holy shit, Vermont, Maine, Boston, New York, obviously, like so many places it was just so different. And the states are obviously, you could be in New York and then in 4 hours you're in Boston. And so it allows the flexibility to go experience these different cultures because every state is different, and experience their opinions and mindsets and their thought process on what they think beer is to them. And you're like, holy shit, like, this is so cool and unique. So that's when I was like, I want to learn how to make it now. And so to be a part of that culture and just to work with other people, ask their opinions. Everyone I email, like, they're always like, give me a call, hit me up, let's just talk beer. And they've really helped me. They've really helped me.
That's awesome.
Before I've changed my model a couple of times, and the model that I was doing before this, I probably would have failed. And I would have been more stressed out. But now I've changed some things up, so I'm feeling really good about it, and it's just such a cool community.
Yes, that's rad.
That's really cool.
So, hey, thanks for popping in with your interesting question, Joey.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Joey?
Big ass haunted mansion?
Okay, thank you.
Fair enough.
You're welcome.
We do not tolerate that on our show. I apologize, Callan. I apologize to the listeners, and you know how it goes.
See if Kimberly has a question.
Yeah, we have another guest we can bring in. Go ahead, I'm gonna bring Kimberly.
Hey,
Kim?
Kim, right there.
Kim? Eli? Hello?
I did. I'm
You-
sorry.
I forgive you?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. Oh, I have a question. My cousin was very into making beers as a pastime. What is and he tried to do really weird ingredient beers.
Love it.
Like he used
What?
cranberries at one point.
You say cranberries?
Yeah. Why not?
Never
I'm
tried
down
a
for
cranberry beer. I've tried a lot of different fruit beers, but not cranberry.
It was a cranberry chocolate. But
Oh.
what is one of your interesting ones that you might want to do, I guess? Because I guess
Yeah.
Joey said that Fruit Loop kind of one as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that question. That's a really good. So, a lot of where we're seeing the brewery scene going is a lot of cool stuff like that. Where chocolate cranberry, that already sounds delicious. Like, it sounds like a good either stout, porter, with having that back end of that mild cranberry taste. And you're seeing a lot of breweries start to explore that world. And so, what we would call that is just putting in adjunct ingredients into during the boil phase or possibly the fermentation phase of some of those flavors that you want to try to extract. You could use, you could actually throw in real cherries and you're going to get something out of that. And I think that's really cool and really fun to play around with. For me, I'm not hardcore about playing around with a lot of different ingredients. I'm more into the hop profile. So the hop family is insane. You have so many different types of strains of hops. It's unbelievable. And you get these hops, they're so beautiful because they produce these different types of complex flavors for the bitterness, the overall flavor, the aroma. They do a lot. And so I'm trying to master, how do I make this tropical, fruity ass, tangy beer? And I could do that through my hops. But my biggest thing with, one of my favorite chefs said it best. Her name's Nancy Silverton. And she talks about how she just sticks to the classic stuff. She doesn't try to, incorporate a lot of different things, but for her, it's her playing around with just the classics. and creating this incredible complex dish. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just I stick to the classics and try to create more of me into that beer. And right now I'm just really into the hops, because you could get so many different flavors. So that's kind of like my biggest thing. But don't get me wrong, I've actually had a chocolate cherry, and those beers, like I was saying about that gummy bear, like those beers are so good. And I think down the road those will be some more things that I do want to experiment with. I would love to experiment with apricot. I think that would be really fun, and some more exotic fruits down the road. That would be kind of something that I do focus on.
Okay.
Have you ever had, like, as well as the people experimenting with fruit flavors, a lot of people have been experimenting with like pickle beers recently, and what's your opinion on them?
Yeah, I'd stay away from it, but that I haven't really gone in depth to that. I don't know enough about that.
I had a 4-pack and I struggled to finish it.
I mean, just using the word pickle and beer together, I don't know, it just doesn't sound appealing to me, at least. But there must be something in the market that's saying it's becoming a trend. Something that's what I like, sours right now are getting really big. And going back to your question is like, what are some things we could do? You're seeing that also in the sour beers, because you could produce these off flavors from the bacteria that's creating actually something that's so good, where you're like, this beer should actually taste like shit, but it actually tastes really good. You're actually letting bacteria get into the beer. It's just, going back to, what flavors can enhance. That is another reason, I keep saying this, but that is another reason why I love the beer, because it's limitless. It's whatever you want to do. You could throw in whatever the hell you want and just fucking have fun with it. And there's so many times I've screwed up something when I was brewing, and I was like, fuck it, let's see how it comes out. And believe it or not, it usually comes out good. And if it doesn't, I'm still drinking it because I paid for it.
And I walked my dog through the podcast, but where are you currently set up? Are you set up in a house setting, or?
Yeah, another great question. So what I do currently is I homebrew. So I have my own, my mash tun and a kettle and fermenter, but it is in my home, where I produce around 5 gallons. And then with that 5 gallons is when I continue to keep fine tuning it. And then the goal is to, eventually be able to raise the capital now where I'm producing, 90 gallons. But I like doing the 5 gallons because it allows for me to really practice and always make my beer better. But yep, I do it in the kitchen to get. I rent, so I don't give a shit what happens to the pipes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for
Great question.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I've ascended this Tapper game. I'm like fucking Tapper master.
Meanwhile, Pico over here learning all the ins and outs of Tapper.
Yeah, Pico on your bar once it opens up. He looks ready for it. I don't know if you're seeing his footage of playing Tapper, but he's going in.
Yeah, these levels gotten wild. But I think I figured out how to play the game. Oh, I threw a beer off the table. Fuck.
as you say that.
I guess whenever we do an eventual in-person Chicago-based podcast, we can try the beer then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to anyone that would be actually really fucking cool, and we could. I don't even mind renting out a space if people would come. I'd love to give them free samples of my beer.
Yeah.
Love to get their opinion.
I'll go meet up.
I hate it when somebody drinks my beer and tells me it's really good, you know, I want somebody to rip my beer apart so that I could continue to make it better. Genuinely, if they do think it's really outstanding, then okay, great. But I just want someone to rip my beer apart, so that's how I get better.
Yeah,
Beer's
you can't
great.
do
Fuck
much.
you. Your beer sucks. I like this guy.
There's only so much you can do with unfiltered positivity, you know.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
it's good. Okay.
And Zach made an excellent comment earlier. He said Breath of the Wild dubious food beer. So if your batch turns out pretty bad, just slap that label
Oh
on.
my god, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Shouts out to Zach in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach.
So, run us through a little bit of the mindset of like coming up with all the right flavors, at least maybe for one of the beers that you've already made. Like, what gets you to the point where you're like, okay, that's it?
Yeah, love that. It gets me to a point when I drink it and I'm just so fucking pumped up and excited. I'm like, fuck yes, and I'm walking around my house in excitement. That's when I know it's there. I am a very hard critic on myself, and so you know, I think what gets me to that point is, what do you want in a beer, right? Do you want full body? Do you want medium body? Do you want it super light? How do you want the back end to taste? How do you want the front end to taste? What types of grains do you want to use? What's the hop profile? Is the yeast the right yeast you're using? And, you know, the biggest thing that I am going for is that all of these, like, okay, all these, and I'm included. I call myself a beer nerd, right? But all these other beer nerds, we want fucking 8% double IPA, hardcore. We want to sit there, drink it, talk about, you know, how good this is, what's in it, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm actually trying to go the complete opposite route. I want somebody to come in and have a fucking beer and then go have a big ass dinner right after that, but still keep drinking my beer. You know, I want a super light beer, but yet at the same time, it's so flavorful. So, for example, I always make, what I like to say is I try to make a step above a Budweiser.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I don't want to charge you a lot of money. So these beers that you're getting, they have to charge you a lot of money due to the amount of ingredients that they're putting in or the types of hops or yeast and grains. But I don't want to charge you a lot of money. I want it to be super light, but I want it to be super flavorful and complex at the same time. So I'm trying to do create the best of both worlds here. You know, a lot of people don't realize it, but when you're drinking a Budweiser, you're drinking a Miller, they used corn and rice to make that a sugar because it's way cheaper than actual cereal grain. So when you go to a craft brewery, they're all using real cereal grains. And so I want to be able to use real cereal grains, but still could charge you the same to what these big breweries are doing. And so, you know, I'm not trying to go super crazy. I'm just trying to get back to like the roots and do something super light and chill, but yet it's so flavorful and complex. So to your question, you know, what makes me excited? It's, you know, after I have a session and I carbonate it, then I'll try it and I'm looking for particular things. Like, what is is the beer full body? Is it medium? Is it light? Is it juicy? When you smell the aroma, do you feel like you're getting fruit? When you taste it, I don't like super bitter beers. I prefer more of that hop flavor than the bitterness. So what's the bitterness ratio versus the hop flavorness? What are the different types of grains? So like a lot of in my pale ales, you could either use flaked oats or flaked wheat. The flaked wheat's going to give you more of a grindier, complex taste on the palate, where the flaked oats is going to be more softer on the palate. But then I want to think about, what do people prefer? And those are questions in my survey that I asked. Do you prefer that, or do you want it softer? So I'm right now focusing on a softer palate. So like I don't want to get that graininess. So when I get that softness, when I get that light body, when I get those complex flavors, that's when I know that I'm super fucking pumped.
You feel like your market is aimed more at like super beer nerds or more like
complete
casual
opposite
drinkers? Yeah, more casual beer drinkers, potentially.
I want casual drinkers, and I want them, to experience the craft brewing scene. So, a lot of people sometimes make the argument that breweries and craft beer is just a craze right now. It's going to fade away. And you're actually seeing it in some commercials. There was like this hard liquor, you guys will probably know, there's this hard liquor commercial where like, they were like, do you want goat's milk? And like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they were attacking beer by saying, grab just a hard liquor drink. And you're starting to see more of that. So I think it's all about like, let's stop being beer nerds and let's get everyone involved in this scene, because this is the coolest fucking scene that I've ever been a part of. And, this is what I want to continue to do. And how do we educate, our cities, our towns? How do we market this to just having a really good time? You could have these light beers, not get blacked out, shit-faced, like you will with the hard liquor, right? And you're just having a good time where you're another golden rule of mine when I do have a brewery is I'm not doing food. I want like a real brewery where you could order a pizza if you want, but I do want a food truck. That would be cool. Or maybe like a cheese pairing, but nothing like crazy.
Oh yeah, cheese.
You're seeing this fucking thing with like, you could just order all this food at the brewery, and I'm like, is that even really a brewery or a gastropub? Like, why are we doing this? So, I get it. There's pros and cons. I'm not bashing anyone. That's just for like kind of what I want to do. But, there's just so much to, what I'm particularly looking for. I got some pretty fun ideas.
I don't suppose food is mandatory in drinking establishments in Chicago, because I know in some places, like up in Oregon or Portland specifically, it is.
I think
they like have to serve food.
Some places, that's a really good question. From what I've heard, it just depends on the zoning or what the requirements are. I think a brewery, you don't have to serve food, or if you do, you could actually do catering. So if I did have to do that, I would do that. But there's
so you have that ability to not cater towards food.
Exactly, and there's a lot to that too. When you do want to serve food, like you can't keep your kegs near the kitchen. Like you have so many different guidelines, because now you're serving food that you're going to definitely need way more capital too. That I just think that makes it hard. But again, I know I keep going back to like my time in New York and the East Coast, but like, what we used to do is we would go to a brewery, order a pizza. The guy would literally walk in and scream your name. He'd be like, "We're over here," and we all had games, like board games, and we would sit and like, we didn't even look at our phones. Like, we just enjoyed one's company, and that's what I want to bring back. Like, if I get a super small establishment, I don't even know how much lighting I want. I think I want a lot of candle lights. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that it's like, let's just bring back like how it used to be. We're so engraved in these phones. Like, let's just take them away for a little bit, for an hour or two, and just enjoy our company, our beer with some good music and some gaming.
I like that concept.
Well, with that, we have hit our hour mark.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. It's been very insightful, and
the insight is different.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. And for everyone's listening, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the questions. This is the first time I've actually done this, and just talking today helped me realize some more things. And so I really appreciate you guys, doing that for me. And if anyone's interested, my Instagram is Blind Ambition Brewing Company. Please look me up.
Follow it.
The more followers I have, it means the world to me. Just because, if I do talk to investors one day, I want to show them, my followers. And, feel free to go on my website at blindambitionbrewery.com. And you could sign up for my guest list. I have swag if you are if anyone would be interested. It just really means a lot to have everyone's support. Due to in the past how I spoke about how I've failed a bunch of times, but grew from that. And when I get doing stuff like this and I get fans and supporters, it just means the world and motivates me to keep going. So thank you guys again for everything. I really, really appreciate it. I really enjoyed tonight.
Absolutely, and thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We'll look forward to
Yeah,
hearing
thanks,
from.
Callan.
I already have 4 followers, so thank you all for.
Yeah. Follows.
We'll have Pico keep us updated.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again, and have a great night. All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You
Thanks.
too.
All right,
Good night,
guys.
everyone.
Good night.